Hey guys, hope you're all having a good day. Sorry, I've been a bit busy with my family today, so I've just got back home. Thought let's just jump straight on the charts and have a little market recap. Again, not too much has occurred, but with the pretty good BTC movement to the upside today, and with XRP fluctuating right now, alongside the total market cap hitting the first upside resistance breakout level with so much precision, a market breakdown. A little update is needed just to see where we could be heading over the next few days. Now, in terms of downside, we have seen a bit more of a significant downside push than expected. However, I have also added the moving averages now to the BTC chart as well. Having a little look at this chart overall, I'm not sure why there's text there. We are looking on the 4-hour perspective, but let's just go straight to the weekly first on XRP. Having a look at XRP right now, the reason I am anticipating a very bullish reversal and crossover to the upside is because of this huge trend line here that did come into play. If I just make this a bit more precise, it can change a little bit once you switch from the weeklies to the dailies. Let's just get that weekly a bit more precise. There we go. So as you can see, we had a massive downside surge the other day. On the weekly especially, this looks even better with the bullish momentum that's progressed from this huge downside manipulative spike. Now, we are breaking through 0.32 and we are currently way above that level, fluctuating around 0.325. And we are finally breaking and hopefully closing this weekly candle in just 2 days now above this moving average here on the weekly and dropping down to the monthly and the daily, sorry, as you can see here. The huge spike has caused a nice push to the upside, which has shown me that this was a massive manipulative spike to increase price higher. Now, I'm not sure if I did cover this in the last video, but when price does spike to such a precise region like this, that's because this has been an institutional manipulation and a combination of whales, of course those with major holdings. It has surged all the way down and spiked this level precisely. It has not even dipped lower because the buy orders accumulated in this region have been so significant price could not even dip lower. So the buy orders here were placed here in advance to obviously cause price to react from such an instantaneous bounce of this level. And as you can see right now on the daily, the moving averages have crossed over to the upside. We've broken above, we've actually fallen lower, retested, and now pushed higher to the 0.329 to 0.33 region. Seeing this significant pullback today on the daily, I do presume we should be closing this daily candle around this region, which should just bolster us straight to that upside target of around 0.335. I do believe first the spike, let me drop down to the 4-hour for a second and just give you a little example with today's excellent BTC analysis coming through very precisely indeed. I do believe a similar movement could be occurring for XRP as well. The way we pushed through the level, quite a significant amount, pulled down, rejected on this region, pulled back. We now have the moving average slowly but surely catching up. Within 3 hours and 16 minutes, we should see that slowly creep up higher as well. However, judging from this lack of momentum and the huge upside push we have just seen after this pullback, I do believe this 4-hour candle should be able to engulf the prior candle and start rejecting and retesting these regions again. Overall, the upside targets do remain. There's nothing too significant changing in the charts. We have just seen a nice healthy correction from this major zone where you can only imagine how many sell orders were placed. If I can spot it, imagine how many institutions already had these levels set up in advance as well. Now, using the total market cap as an excellent example, I mean, the precision on that level is unbelievable, and the way we spiked to that level in the day was incredible to see. Now, once this switches over to the 4-hour, there we go. As we can see right now, this is basically an imitation of the BTC chart with a bit more volatility and of course a more overall rounded look. With the fluctuations of the rest of the market being accounted within each candle, we are looking at very similar price movements as well. After actually breaking out of this major trend line, we've seen the multiple rejections. We've actually bolstered higher. We had the huge spike down again. Now we are slowly but surely climbing our way through higher. So looking at this again on the daily, once this switches over, I'm not sure why this chart's slower than the others, but it is. Now, once we actually break beyond this region, it could be a very similar circumstance. Once we break through this resistance, we could see a large spike down, a correction and some consolidation, and of course, the usual volatility around this region, but that will then bolster us straight to that next upside target, where once I go to BTC, you can see the next upside target of 4,200 is located almost identical to where the next upside target is here as well. So having a look at this right now, I'm not really too worried about too much downside pressure. The moving averages right now are at a pretty close boiling point, so ideally we would like to see a breakout from this region. You can see this wedge that's forming here as well on the 1 hour. I do not use this too often, but if I just get this nice and tight, and we have a little look here as well, it is looking very possible that the wedge is now breaking out after several hours of consolidation. There hasn't been too much movement for the past few hours after that huge surge in the morning for myself in the UK. So looking at this now, any downside potentials and regions to watch out for, of course, would be the little retest of the moving average here around $4,060, and of course a retest of this region here as the second moving average is slowly but surely making its way up to this support level, adding a nice little confluence for where price could potentially pull back to before exploding higher. Now, going over to XRP one last time as well, the moving averages are now well and truly above the 0.32 support, which was prior resistance. Pulling up higher, we've actually spiked all the way down. Moving average is holding as support, with this current 4-hour candle not showing too much downside pressure as of now. And if I go to the 1 hour again, we can see that very similar formation forming. Now, there is of course that considerable sharp risk that we snap through the wedge and go straight back down to the support here. Something to be cautious of. Remember, we are projecting a much more longer term target anyway. We are initially going for these regions here, seeing how price reacts around this region before hopefully breaking out, catching that retest as another potential entry opportunity. Now, if you did manage to catch the movement from that downside spike, which was covered anyway, you would have caught a nice entry very well below where current price action is. So even any form of spike for the time being, I wouldn't really be too concerned about if you've got a very good entry up here. As of now, not too bad of an entry, to be honest with you. Of course, please be cautious of spreads. They will enter you much higher than expected. But if we just draw a nice trend line here as well of what could be occurring, just pay attention to these regions, because we do see another 0.32 recess. It's very nicely aligned with this region and just aids our climb to eventually reach this level here. So overall, all the long-term targets remain. Just wanted to give you a little intraday update as well, especially if you are trading and you want to be adding more positions. I wouldn't really be adding anything for now and just letting this ride its course. Enjoy your profits from a very good entry, especially after this breakout here. I believe many people would have tried to have gone short. We absolutely obliterated this level, retested. Moving averages have been guiding us. And again, I like to use these moving averages every now and then, not as gospel, but when you see that they are working and they are guiding the price gently over time, it's more likely than not any downside spikes will correlate quite nicely with the moving averages here. So use my charts as a good guidance for the time being and just looking at where potential downside spikes could be. But overall, upside projections remain. We're looking very promising on these movements. Going to the daily again, I would like to see this even close how it is now, maybe see a quick pullback to some extent, but I do believe the next daily candle should be pretty bullish and lead us closer to this target. Overall, we are still expecting these two regions here. We have a nice longer term moving average fluctuating almost perfectly in between these barriers as well. So any spikes could reach that 0.395 region as well. So now it's just a patient waiting game. If you're actually looking on this overall longer term picture, if I just consolidate this chart slightly, you can see there's a nice curvature to the actual movement of this chart. We've actually broken above moving average crossover, broken back down, consolidated, and if I just get rid of these trend lines for a second and just make this a little bit cleaner for you all, you can see there has been a little wedge in itself forming, which we've broken out from there. And again, if I add this level here, there has essentially been a breakout of this wedge as well. So all we're really waiting for now is a daily candle closure. And what I normally like is a candle closure on these kind of key levels, because it normally shows an aggressive breakout should be pending. I know mostly when it comes to certain pairs, there can be a reversal signal. However, with this current momentum, I do believe the upside target will stay the same. Nothing is threatening as of now, and we are just riding this wave, hopefully for a very major bullish breakouts. Guys, another update will follow once we see a bit more market movement. Hasn't been the most exciting day, but we have seen a pretty bullish movement since this morning. So for now, more news updates to follow. Telegram updates will follow, of course, and regardless, we have podcasts coming tomorrow anyway. So it's good to have that back. Feels good to be back in the swing of podcasts as well. as you would expect, the usual updates you would get from myself in the podcast, from cryptocurrency to life lessons to just everything in general that you guys will believe will aid yourself in your journey as well. So any topics you want covered, you know the drill. Drop me a DM, drop me a message on my latest post on CryptoWZRD, or if you want, you can even drop me a message in the Telegram. I know many of you have found me in the Telegram. If not, a Twitter poll will be done regardless. So if you want to do any polls or you want to vote for the next Crypto in the Wizard Wednesdays, simply go onto Twitter and I'll leave a poll there and you guys can decide what content you want. Because remember, it's about you guys. It's not about what I want, it's about what you want, and I'm here to cater for those needs. So let me know what you want and I'm more than happy to deliver.